What's going on, everyone? Today, PPG just had their One Piece extravaganza for Nationals to lead up to hype for the event coming up in 1 week for Europe, 2 weeks for the US. I'm excited. But yeah, we're going to take a look at the top 16 breakdown and the top 16 deck list. So let's go ahead, dive in. If you're new to the channel, I'm Vampire Gaming. I make content around the One Piece card game. Feel free to hit that subscribe button for more One Piece content. But yeah, so top 16, 8 Sakazuki taking over half of the top 16. And then, of course, Purple Luffy taking 3 spots in top 16. Katakuri taking 2. Enel taking 1. Trafalgar Law taking 1. Edward Newgate taking 1. Honestly, Enel was the most surprising to me. Which leader was the most surprising to you to be here in this top 16? And then, of course, total breakdown, we've got Sakazuki at 70, so over 1/3 of the tournament was Sakazuki. It was about 220 people-ish. It was only 7 rounds. The pair down did lose, so we did not play 8. And then we've got Enel at 43, OP05 or Purple Luffy or Pluffy at 32. And then we've got Katakuri at 24, Zoro 8, Newgate 7, Structure Deck 10, the Red Purple Luffy 6, 6 Queen, 6 Trafalgar Law, and then there were 19 others. I was part of that others with my Portgasti Ace. But first place, you see Sakazuki. Second place, Sakazuki. Third place, Sakazuki. Fourth place, Sakazuki. So top 4 was all Sakazuki. But let's go ahead and dive in. Cameron Varden got first with his Sakazuki deck. Let's take a look at that. So you see here we've got Sakazuki, Suru, pretty standard. First initials. One thing to note is Hina. Hina isn't necessarily standard, but definitely making her way into our meta. I've been seeing a lot of people talk about her. Really good for the mirror. Great when going first. Play this on 3. And then looking at the Admiral package here, we see 2 and we see 3 on the Lino. For Rob Lucci, of course, Robert being the best card in the deck. 2 Sabo, 3 Borsalino. I feel like at one point people were playing 2, but we got 3 Lino, and we've got 2 10-drop Kaido. 10-drop Kaido has been a hot topic. I've been seeing 10-drop Kaido, 10-drop Kuzan. Kuzan's better for yellow. So really interesting to see just settling on that 10-drop Kaido. And of course, 2 Ice Age cards, crazy, in the standard events 4 and 4. Congrats, Cameron. And then we're looking at Yong Kang's Sakazuki. Once again here, pretty standard. Something that stands out, of course, right away is the Kobe. A really strong choice here. One, he's removable, but he's also searchable off of brand new, which isn't something that you necessarily have all the time. So saucy one-ofs, and of course, if you don't need him, you can always pitch him, which is the great part of Sakazuki. You can play one-ofs if you would like, and then discard them if you do not need them. And then, of course, like, if you do, and then again, the brand new search is huge. Hina, again, I think we're going to see a lot of this Hina, especially at Nationals. I think it defines the mirror, is what I've been hearing. And then, of course, Tashigi, your 2Ks, Hina at 4. But then, again, Admiral package here, we're seeing 3 and 3. Not 4 and 4. Of course, these being like cards you can potentially cut to make room for other things. And then, of course, we've got Robert. We've got Sabo at 2, basic standard. And then we've got Borsalino at 3. And then, of course, we've got our standard events. So congrats. We've got Chris Sock at 4th with Sakazuki. And looking here, this list is even more interesting. Again, Hina. I think all the high caliber players essentially have come to the consensus of playing Hina to some degree. We see similar here to Cameron's list. 2 Kuzan, 3 Lino. Super interesting is Sabo just committing to 1. Just committing to 1. But on top of that, playing 4 Borsalino and then 1 Mihawk. Mihawk was very popular at the early startings of Sakazuki, but slowly moved away from it. It looks like instead of playing 2 here, he's opting to play 1 Mihawk, a 1 10-drop Kaido, and then of course again you can cycle these, but this can also bottom deck an 8 cost, so you could bottom deck their Katakuri, which can definitely come up. We see 2 of Ice Age and then just standard on the events. So congrats. So congrats to Chris. And then let's take a look at Brandon's list. Rounding out our top 4, opting for 1 more Hina right away. I can see that. Playing 3 Hina, 4 of this Hina, and then their Admiral package. We, of course, see 3 Kuzan, 4 Borsalino, and then from there we see 1 Sabo once again. This I love seeing this as an ace player because like playing out this card is very strong against me, and just seeing them move away from that, I'm here for it. And then of course we see 3 Borsalino standard event package. Now let's dive in. We've got William Wang coming in at 5th with his Katakuri. And so really exciting to see something other than Sakazuki, of course. Katakuri being my least favorite of the yellow, but I'll take what I can get. We see 2 Shirahoshi. This card's great. You can stack it back into life, triggering it out of life. Sometimes even hard casting this isn't the worst. Drawing 3, refreshing essentially 3 cards in your hand is big. Especially if you're playing against like red, or if you know that they can go for game, it can really help you. Because you can get stuck with like a lot of no counter easy. Yellow having like lesser that problem, but there are still some. Then you got, of course, Strusen, 2K, decent for Zoro, standard pudding, Beji for best trigger. You got Amande, still a really solid 2K. Your trigger characters, Cracker. I feel like Cracker kind of got like underappreciated there for a moment, but it's great to see him back. I hate when this card hits the field against me, but he really can put in work, especially when he's hit off of a life trigger. They, of course, got 4 Sanji, 4 Satori, great body if you need it. And then, of course, a 2K. Those triggers really put in work, can put you in a position to win all the time. Like, if you're like, oh, you know, like, I don't have Rush, but, like, half my life is almost a Rush character. Then you, of course, got Kadatsu, one of the best cards coming out of the Skypiea package. Of course, just being able to play that on 5, potentially popping any on-curve played character. Then we've got Lin at 3, Trash Mom, if you would. Really solid card. Hate when this gets dropped against me, but you pretty much, we call it Trash Mom because they're probably going to trash a life. Only time I don't trash a life is if I'm sure I'm going to lose if I don't. And then, of course, we've got the Cat Pack, Katakuri at 2. If you're wanting to play yellow but don't want to buy 4 for Enel, you know, maybe Big Mom's the option with Katakuri. And, of course, the 4 B-Mom. Interesting to see Thunderbolt make its comeback. Of course, this card kind of faded out last set just because it is kind of expensive and everybody's playing like Russian Red for a minute. But now kind of with that like moving away, it feels a little bit slower. This card feels a little bit more powerful. Great for game ending. Again, with Sabo, he's a 5-cost blocker. You can't rest it with Amaru being like the best yellow card in the game right now outside of Big Mom. Amaru being able to rest a blocker and give you more power than you paid in for. But this also being able to get rid of that Sabo if need be. And just that extra bit of removal and hitting this off of life is oh so sweet. So congrats. And then let's take a look at the other Katakuri coming in at 7th. See how they vary. Right away, we see them playing 3 Weepy Toshi. You've got 2 of the Brule, which is interesting. The other build was not playing Brule at all. Again, kind of standard here. We see 3 Crackers, so upping it there. That trigger plus just being able to drop him down and swing is kind of crazy. We only see 3 Gadatsu this time. Again, just standard package here. 3 Trash Mom once again. 2 Katakuri. 4 Big Mom. Best card in the deck. Best card in the game, arguably. And then, of course, you got 3 T-Bowl and 3 Amaru. And then let's take a look at the first Luffy we see. The first purple Luffy comes in here at 10th. They're playing Miss Doublefinger, solid ramp card. It's also a 2K. You also got Khalifa as a 2K. Decent for cycling cards. This card sometimes matters. Playing this down can sometimes just get you there. We see, of course, 3 Frenosuke. 3 ultis, so we're looking at 14 2Ks. And then we've, of course, got the blocker law. This card's crazy. If you get it off, just making your opponent -2 can really make a difference, especially if you catch him lacking. One of my opponents who actually made top 16, they were my second loss. They were playing Purple Luffy. They opted to only play 2. And only playing 2 because they cited that a lot of really good players are going to play around it regardless. The fear of it being there is pretty much just enough, and I felt that. A lot of people play around Flame Emperor, even if it's not there, just because of the fear of it being there. And so, very interesting take on this card. But yeah, just those blockers. The fact that he is a blocker is also just really strong, and he can swing if you really want to. But yeah, they're playing 4. We see the Vanillas, 4 page 1 for the ulti play, and then of course just 2 scratch mana poo. We've got 4 Magellan standard, 4 Polly standard, 4 Eustace standard, 4 Queen standard, and then of course we see King. We saw King in early OP05 in Asia, and then he kind of faded out. He KOs a 4K, and he's a 7K swinger, so he's a decent body. Hard to get rid of. And you also see Urashima, a 7-9. Your opponent's just not simply outing this unless they're Sakazuki. Absolute behemoth of a character. If you ramp right and you get to play this on your 3rd turn, it's also really hard to deal with because you're swinging with it on 4 after your opponent just went. So this can be very strong, very powerful. And then, of course, you got the 3-drop, or the 3 of the 9-drop Kaido. This card's busted. This card is like the glass cannon to my deck. Anytime this card has come down, I don't think I've won any single game. And then, of course, we've got 3 Jet Gatling. I believe it ramps on the trigger, but then, of course, it turns all of these no counter cards into 2Ks. And then this being a 1K, or it becomes a 2K and these become a 1K, however you want to look at it. But congrats there with the Purple Luffy. And then, of course, we've got coming in at 11th is Enel. And then, so we see here, of course, standard 2K, 4 of. These 2 are both 4 ofs just because you can cat pack them back into your life. Katakuri being just super strong, especially if you slap in a Shirahoshi that you just got triggered off a life. And so you're getting 5 Dawn plays, but you're also just refreshed 6 cards in your hand. 6 cards are brand new. Really just digs through your deck and gets you what you need. And then, of course, Shira just makes it easy to go Om Holly, and you're like GG. Very strong combo there. Best cards that make this combo right here essentially makes this guy Pia package worth playing. And then, of course, you got your standard triggers. And then you see the Katakuri. I think this is spicy. I feel like I've been seeing this just a little bit more. I picked up a few of these a while back, and I mentioned them in a video because they were like $1. And I was just like, this felt like the best value at $1. And now that the Big Mom decks are like $40. It's just a really strong card. It's rushed. Not a lot of cards or decks have rush. It's a 4/6 rush. It is circumstantial, but it does give you life knowledge. And very strong just overall, I think. And you, of course, got Gadatsu playing this on curve. You can just destroy your opponent's curve depending on if they're a 4-life or 5-life leader. And then, of course, Enel, super strong, 7, can't be removed, very sticky. This card always, like, if they establish this, it usually becomes a problem for me. My other loss was to Enel, and it was essentially because of this card. Because I just could not get it off, and they had like 2 cards in hand, but like it was just too strong. And it happens. But then we, of course, got a 1 of Lin, which is super interesting because some people decide to play Enel with the Trash Mom package, which is super interesting to say the least. Like, they just play the full Whole Cake Island vibe, Big Mom deck. And then, of course, they're also only playing 3 Katakuri. Some people think 4 is mandatory just because if you go to 0, you stuff something back in there. It really matters. You can also loop Katakuris if you really need to. Go swing A, play Katakuri, add Katakuri to my life. You're like, take it. You're like, oh, replace my life. Take it. Then you're like, my turn. Play Katakuri, or like swing Katakuri, play Katakuri, add Katakuri to my life if you really want to. But you can also add the Shira and the Shirahoshi. Then, of course, we've got the Yamato, best card in the deck by 4, whether you're at 1 life or whether you're at 0 life. This card just puts in work. And then, of course, allows you to swing 9 and really pressure your opponent. And you got Thunderbolt at 2, and then Amaru at 2. This card's insane. Best card in the deck. Wins games. Rest their blocker. Go in. It's just super strong. Then we got Francisco. This is who I played. This is his purple Luffy build, and it's super interesting because there's a lot of unique tech choices here. You see, of course, double finger, great ramp card. He's only playing, I believe, 12 2Ks, but he's playing this page 1. And this page 1 lets you tag active characters, and he said he techs it for Zoro. So you can not only play this page 1, but now you have 6 targets instead of just 4 for ulti. 2 Law, again, I kind of talked about it, but he mentioned he played this Law just at 2 because the threat of it is enough and people are going to play around it anyways. Miss All Sunday here at 4. I really like this because, like, you play this, you draw 1, you ramp 1, and then, of course, the trigger also can let you draw 1, which is big. You get a body and get to draw 1. 2 of the Scratch Mana Poo. Then, of course, you also got DB, Douglas Bullet, but this is like Baby Bullet because it's not the 8-drop, and you can Don minus on play, and then you rest a 4 cost or less. So he can rest that blocker instead of like playing Sheep's Horn. He's got counter. A little bit more expensive. Then, of course, we got Paulie, standard blockers. We see 2 Eustace, 2 Urashima, 4 Kaido. You dropped the Kaido on me, and that was all they wrote. And, of course, 2 Gum Gum Gatlings, making those no counters 1 case. So congrats to him. And congrats to 11th place Enel, Abdularam, and then also, of course, 10th place Monkey Luffy, if I didn't mention that. And then let's take a look here also. 13th on Luffy. Let's see. Oh, you see 3 of the film structure deck, 4, 6. It's obviously interchangeable between any vanilla, and 3 Douglas Bullet. So not the only person playing Douglas Bullet, but playing Douglas Bullet. And you see, of course, Magellan. Wait, was the other guy playing Magellan? No, Magellan. That's what I thought. I was like, I don't think I saw Magellan. That is quite a spicy take to just cut Magellan. And then, of course, standard package. And then you see that Sheep's Horn. This one is for 2 Don. You can rest a 6 cost, if I'm not mistaken. I let you rest a 6. Doesn't bottom deck like Top Knot, but Top Knot only answers a 4, so this also answers Sabo, and then potentially like Queen or Eustace. But very strong cards. Congrats again. And then let's take a look at the Law, shall we? Let's take a look at the Law. So the red-purple Law, you got your standard minus, got the Zoro, you got your Searcher, and then we've got Law. This card obviously is still really good. You can play this off of his effect. Gets you a blocker. You could also possibly rip 2 cards. Pretty standard. They are playing the ulti page 1 package, which kind of showed up, but I don't think it showed up a ton in competitive for OP05. So interesting to see. I also love this. You all know this is the best card in red, in my opinion. He wins games. You just play him down, swing 11, unblockable. You can just get there. And so you can't play him if you don't have him in your deck. So just that one of gives you that opportunity to cheese a win with him. Then you see 4 Fire Fist. Minus is 4K, so you can bot deck a 7K with this. Possibly KO a 4K if it's available and you have 2 life. And only 2 Gamma Knife. I feel like Gamma Knife would be a 4 of, but they made it, so congrats to them. And then, of course, let's take a look at the Newgate. So Newgate, just first glance here, it's looking pretty standard. I mean, there isn't much new tricks with Newgate outside of like what it's shaped to be. You've got your 2Ks. You've got Nami. You're essentially playing the white hat or the straw hat beard. And then you've got the Ezo Searcher, of course. So you get double search, double power, because it's about 50-50 almost. You got this Robin, great for removing the Rebecca's, so that's really cool. Or even Mansherry. You got this, the 2K Sanji, so they're playing 12 2Ks, which is kind of slim, but that's kind of what Newgate's been playing recently. Of course, with Radical Beam back, it really is just insane. But yeah, a lot of people play this on turn 2 and use it to swing on like turn 4. And then you got Zoro. I've seen people play anywhere from 2 to 4 of these Rush Zoros. So interesting to see him as a one of. Obviously, this is a turn 3 play. Kind of hurts too. You're like, swing 5, swing 6. It's like, yeah, it's pretty good. And then, of course, you've got Marcos. These cards are great. Unblockable Luffy, best card in the game. Really good for the mirror, too. I doubt you play mini mirrors, which is probably really good, but you also probably want this for red, purple Luffy. You got Sanji at 2. I like this at 2. You've got Ace. Only 3 Newgate, not 4. And then it looks like they replaced guard point, 1 guard point with the bad manners. So again, making one of these a 1K, but also not needing that Don reliance. So you got 4, 3, and 1. So pretty much 8 events. But yeah, thank you all so much for watching. I will include the link to the top 16 here in the video description down below. But as always, if you found this content of value, if you do me a favor, subscribe to the channel. It helps me out a ton, and I'll see you all in the next one.